All right, let's dive deep into the heart of Middle-earth's lore. We're going to uncover a story of unbelievable heroism and just gut-wrenching sorrow that, believe it or not, quietly shapes the entire world of The Lord of the Rings. This is the story of the Children of Húrin.
You know, when you watch the movies or read the books, have you ever wondered why that world feels so ancient? So full of fading glory and this deep, lingering sadness? You see all these ruins, you hear about how the elves are leaving. Why? Well, the answer isn't just about Sauron. It's much, much older than that.
The real source of all that sorrow goes back thousands of years before Frodo was even born, all the way to the first age of the world. And it's rooted in a war against an evil that makes Sauron look like a pale imitation, and it all centers on a single family that was forced to bear the full weight of his hatred.
So to really understand this tragedy, we have to go back, way back to a time of myths and legends, when the greatest war in the history of Middle-earth was fought.
Meet the real enemy, Morgoth. Look, if Sauron is this terrible shadow stretching over the land, Morgoth is the absolute, crushing darkness that casts the shadow. He was Sauron's original master, a divine being who fell into pure evil and poured all of his malice into the very fabric of the world itself.
The main event of that entire age was the war for these things called the Silmarils. Think of them as perfect jewels that held the pure light of creation. Morgoth, of course, had to have them. He stole them and ran back to his fortress. Well, in response, a group of elves swore this terrible, reckless oath to get them back, no matter the cost. And that oath led to centuries of hopeless war, all leading up to one single, catastrophic battle, the Battle of Unnumbered Tears.
In that battle, everything went wrong. The alliance of elves and men was betrayed, shattered. But as an elven king tried to retreat, one man and his warriors made a final desperate stand to buy him time. His name was Húrin, and he was the greatest human warrior of his age. He fought until he was literally buried under a mountain of the orcs he'd slain.
They took him alive and dragged him before Morgoth, but Húrin, he just refused to break. He defied the Dark Lord to his face. So Morgoth, in his infinite cruelty, came up with a punishment far worse than death. He chained Húrin to a stone chair high in the mountains and put a curse on his entire family, forcing Húrin to watch, through Morgoth's own dark magic, as that curse played out. And so, that curse falls upon Húrin's son, Túrin, a boy who would grow up to be a mighty hero in his own right, but every single choice he makes, every step he takes, will be twisted by the dark will of Morgoth. Now, this curse isn't just random bad luck, it's so much more clever than that. It works by twisting Túrin's own personality, his pride, his courage, against him. After an accident forces him into exile, he becomes a leader of outlaws. When he's captured by orcs, his best friend, an elf named Beleg, tracks him down to save him. But in the middle of the night, as Beleg is cutting his bonds, Túrin wakes up, thinks it's an orc coming to torture him, and he kills his own rescue. That act completely shatters him. He's haunted by grief, but he carries on, eventually finding his way to the hidden elven city of Nargothrond. His skills in battle are amazing, but his proud and reckless advice convinces the elves to stop hiding and fight Morgoth head-on. Well, this just leads a dragon straight to their front door, and the entire kingdom is wiped out. His attempt at heroism becomes their total ruin. And just when you think things can't possibly get worse, a new player enters the game, a direct agent of Morgoth's curse, Glaurung, the father of dragons. This creature isn't just a beast of fire. He's incredibly intelligent and full of pure, calculated spite. So, as Nargothrond is falling, Túrin's sister, Nienor, who he hasn't seen since she was a little girl, shows up looking for him. The dragon, Glaurung, finds her first. And instead of just killing her, he does something far more cruel. He uses his dragon magic to completely wipe her mind, erasing every single memory she has. He just leaves her to wander off into the woods, a ghost with no name and no past. And who do you think happens to find this terrified, nameless woman? Of course, it's Túrin himself. He's fled to a new part of the world and given himself a new name, Turambar, which defiantly means Master of Doom. He finds this girl cowering and lost, unable to remember anything about herself. He has absolutely no idea who she is, She has no idea who he is. He gives her a name, Niniel, the Tear Maiden. And in their shared ignorance, they actually find a little bit of peace. They think they're just two lost souls brought together by fate. They fall in love, and they marry. The curse is weaving its final, most horrific trap.
But that peace can't last. Glaurung, the dragon, eventually comes to destroy their new home. And in a moment of pure, untainted heroism, Thorin ambushes the dragon and, with his famous black sword, he kills him. He actually does it. He wins the victory he's been searching for his whole life.
But as the dragon is dying, Niniel rushes to Turin's side. And Glaurung, with his very last breath, uses his last ounce of power for one final act of malice. He breaks his own spell. Ninjor's memory comes flooding back in an instant of pure horror. The dragon reveals the truth to both of them. Realizing what has happened, she throws herself into a river to her death. And Turin, finding his own sword, falls upon it, ending the tragic line of Húrin forever.
I mean, that's an ending of just absolute, total despair, right? But this is Tolkien, and even in the deepest, most suffocating darkness, there is always a flicker of light, an unforeseen consequence that can change the fate of the world.
The story leaves behind this incredible dual legacy. On one side, you have unimaginable sorrow, great kingdoms destroyed, a noble family just annihilated. But on the other side, remember Húrin's last stand at the very beginning? That act of sacrifice wasn't just defiance. It bought time. It allowed the hidden elven city of Gondolin to stay secret, and most importantly, it allowed his brother's family to escape, ensuring their bloodline would not be completely wiped out.
That child, his nephew Tuor, grows up an orphan, but he's guided by fate, and he eventually becomes the first man to ever find that last secret kingdom of the elves, Gondolin, the very city his father and uncle died to protect. And in Gondolin, he falls in love with and marries an elven princess. Their son is named Eärendil. He's half elven, half man, and he literally carries the last hopes of the entire world inside of him.
It's Eärendil who takes one of those stolen Silmarils and sails his ship into the heavens, all the way to the land of the gods. And his plea, on behalf of both elves and men, is what finally convinces them to step in. They wage one final, world-breaking war, and Morgoth is defeated for good. Now, take a second and let this sink in. Everything we've just talked about, all of that happened more than 6,000 years before the hobbits ever left the Shire. This is truly ancient history. And from Eärendil's own son came the line of the great kings, a line that stretched all the way through the ages, unbroken, down to one man, Aragorn. His claim to the throne, his destiny, his entire heritage, it is a direct result of that one single flicker of hope that was preserved in the middle of Middle-earth's greatest tragedy.